Stakeholders' contributions are a key part of preparations for the national budget. In this InfoHub Extended, we take a look at the discussions held for the 2019 budget between the Ministry of Finance and various stakeholders. Leading off the series of consultations on September 6 was the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana.
Tourism's positive impact on the economy was highlighted when Junior Minister of Finance Jaipal Sharma met with the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana. THAG's President Mitra Ramkumar suggested tourism as one solution to the economy's diversification.
Tourism is the answer to diversifying this economy because it's sustainable, because if we want and want to build a sustainable industry, and if we're really looking at a strategy that takes us into 2040, I'm saying tourism has to be in the forefront.
Minister Sharma said that the tourism and hospitality sector is one of the many industries the government has been placing emphasis on.
If you look at our budget presentation from 2015 to present, you would see we focus in on those various sectors of the economy that could boost tourism. So you would not see it physically in your hospitality industry, but you don't focus hospitality and just focusing on your particular organization by giving you what you want, but it's a spin-off effect.
Officials of the Guyana Trade Union Congress and the Federation of Independent Trade Unions of Guyana also met with ministry officials later that day.
The second day of Budget 2019 consultations began with the Commission for the Elderly submitting their proposals.
Minister Sharma welcomed the Commission's participation and commended the organization for submitting a written list of proposals to facilitate the consultative process.
As the elderly population group, you must provide for them. And so we gave you this opportunity here today to say to us, what is your indication for the government of Guyana to focus in relation to elderly in Budget 2019? What are some of the areas you would like us to address that you believe the elderly population is lacking, and how we could assist in Budget 2019 to make their lives better?
The minister discussed the proposals submitted, which including increased funding, the need for a permanent office, regularization of the New Dawn elderly clubs, meals for pensioners, and more. Commission Chairperson Everett De Leon felt optimistic at the end of the consultation.
Especially with reference to the New Dawn clubs, yes, and the breakfast for the persons at the two post offices.
The National Commission for the Elderly is proposing a budgetary increase from $2 million to $5.8 million for 2019. This sum would enable the body to better execute its mandate of ensuring the nation's elderly are properly cared for and acceptable standards are maintained within elderly care homes.
On September 10, the third day of Budget 2019 consultations, the Finance Budget team met the Private Sector Commission and the Ghana Manufacturing and Services Association, respectively.
I like the positive attitude of the private sector. I perhaps know what is perhaps bringing it, and I'm happy. For the first time I've seen the private sector, for example, in the Private Sector Commission, actually telling us that they're prepared to do certain things, and they said publicly that they're willing to support us. Particularly the local content one, that was for me a bit surprising, given what we will be hearing. But that is a real positive development. I also like the whole tone of these discussions. They are more engaging.
Minister Jordan described the consultations as a meeting of the minds.
So there's a bigger willingness of the private sector to engage with the government, and we have stressed this public-private partnership in a number of ways with the private sector, with the Private Sector Commission. We have worked with the Ghana Manufacturing Services Association. In fact, this is the only body that we have round tables going, and as you could have seen, it has worked very well for them. They've got quite a few benefits. I'm looking to see more benefits for them in the upcoming budget. Some of them we can work with, others we perhaps will work around and tinker with.
The day's consultations began with presentations from the PSC led by Chairman Desmond Sears.
We're asking the minister to maybe speak to the Minister of Business to accelerate the process. In other words, you can always change. It could be an evolving policy. You could always make changes as you go down the road. But we would want, before 2019, especially before oil production, that we have a local government policy, local content policy, which would more or less set the stage for locals to participate in the oil and gas industry.
The GSMA's consultations followed, with executives making cases for tax relief in several sectors, expanding the tax net in others, revised legislation, and the need for the GRA to monitor overseas companies for the possible dumping of cheaper products. More support was also requested for the Uncapped Expo.
Finance Minister Winston Jordan wrapped up the fourth day of budget talks on Wednesday, September 12, with more private sector stakeholders.
Consultations were held with executives of the Ghana Gold and Diamond Miners Association, the GGDMA, and the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, respectively. Finance Minister Winston Jordan.
The familiar game is there, where requests are being made for significant concessions in a number of areas. But I keep stressing that if we give concessions, what are we getting in return for them? That is still an open book question, but we promise them we will take all of their suggestions, recommendations in the context of the budget 2019, and to the extent that we can fulfill them, we will, whether partially or whole.
Minister Jordan reminded that all concessions should be tied to performance.
We don't just give concessions which are reliefs in certain areas, but an expense to the average citizen. We don't just give it because of that. We expect a benefit down the road, so that in the case of the gold sector, the concessions that we have given, we expect they will result in improved mining practices, improved declarations, and hence improved foreign currency to the Bank of Guyana, and taxation and taxes for the government.
The day's consultations began with presentations by GGDMA's chairman, Terence Adams. He noted that a priority for them was the need to add the phrase final tax in the next budget with regards to miners, which he said is causing great uncertainty within the sector. The removal of value-added taxes on excavators and certain types of all-terrain vehicles once certain levels of production for gold and diamonds were achieved were also discussed. The GCCI's consultations followed, with executives making cases for tax relief in several sectors. These included the need for more fire-to-access roads in Regions 3 and 5, respectively, the need for tax relief on pesticides, the passage of e-commerce legislation, tax reform, local content legislation, and modernized financial services legislation.
On September 13, the fifth day of 2019 national budget consultations began with Minister of Finance Winston Jordan and his budget team meeting with the African Business Roundtable, ABR. The organization, one of 4 private sector organizations, was represented by Executive Director Dr. Eric Phillips and executives Shabaki Finance and Dion Haynes.
ABR is a driving force behind the upcoming Green Expo, scheduled for October 18, 2018. According to Dr. Phillips, the expo is crucial to raising awareness of sustainable energy uses in light of the eminent oil and gas sector.
So we're actually looking to become a green economy funded by oil resources. So instead of having an oil economy, we have an oil sector that will help us to take our national patrimony. We have over 200 fruits and vegetables, we have water, we have forests, and do that. So we were engaging the minister with that discussion.
Other discussions, he explained, focus on the move by ABR to take up the challenge to help transition small African and medium-sized businesses along the green path.
How do we make them more sustainable? How do we take them towards the path of the green economy where they can always get jobs? We talked about procurement and the equity in procurement. We talked about our youth. We talked about village diversification, because our villages need to become sustainable job-creating environments. In order to do that, all the land that they have to be managed carefully. Instead of everybody doing cash crops, what is the strategy for that village that can come together in a communal way, own shares? So we're teaching them also how to raise capital through communal capitalism.
The next round of discussions was held with a cross-section of more than 8 young entrepreneurs. The finance minister likened the spirited discussions as being more akin to a think tank.
I think we have to have more of these with these young entrepreneurs that we have. They have some very simple solutions to some not so simple problems. I think one of the takeaways that I would have had from this meeting is that engagement is better than, non-engagement, so to speak, because I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of the ideas that the people have, and they have given me food for thought as it relates to helping their businesses, helping the economy to grow.
Minister of Finance Winston Jordan wrapped up the 6th and final day of Budget 2019 consultations with executives of the Ghana Association of Bankers. However, it was a no-show for the parliamentary opposition.
Representatives of the Ghana Association of Bankers included the Bank of Baroda's Managing Director, Aaron Kumar Gupta, GBTI's Executive Director, Richard Isavo, Citizens Bank's Managing Director, Eaton Chester, Tamara Bank's CEO, Pravin Dave, Republic Bank's Branch Manager, Jadonot Prasad, and Managing Director and Association President, Richard Sami. Sami described the meeting as very fruitful.
We are looking forward to working very closely with the Ministry of Finance and the government, focusing on areas such as incentives for renewable energy and adoption of the green economy in business, as well as the deepening of the financial services sector in order to be able to offer greater investment, not just for corporations, but also for individuals, and also the modernization of the financial services sector with a greater use of technology vis-a-vis the national payments, as well as legislation which can promote greater investment in Guyana with the banks, with the commercial banks.
The next round of consultations scheduled was with the parliamentary opposition. They were no show. Finance Minister Winston Jordan said this was not totally unexpected.
Ever since 2015, when they first showed up, they haven't showed up subsequently, despite being invited. We were to have a meeting this morning at 10. Right now, I think it's after 10:40. There are virtually no shows. It's not a case they didn't get the invitation. My secretary confirms that they did receive the invitation, and these were sent out on August the 27th. So it's not a question that they didn't get it. So it must have been a conscious decision not to cooperate with the government in keeping what they have said.
According to the minister, a golden opportunity was missed.
So I know this is an indication that sometimes they shout on the rooftop about lack of consultation and so on, but when opportunities are presented, they don't show up. It's also seen in their lack of taking up their seats on boards and commissions and so on, which have been allocated to them. It obviously is part of their non-cooperation stance, but we as a government, we have, in spite of this level of non-cooperation, we have marched on, we have been elected to do a job, and we will continue to do the job to the best of our abilities.
Regarding the actual date of the 2019 budget presentation in the National Assembly, the Finance Minister, he had this to say.
Budget will be presented in November. Usually budget is presented on a Monday. So pick a date in November.
With the conclusion of the budget discussions, Finance Minister Winston Jordan noted that the presentations ranged from the traditional to the new. Minister Jordan said these will now be reviewed and further discussed to determine what will be feasible in 2019. This brings us to the end of another InfoHub Extended. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Why when I drink a nice guy gets smoking on? Hey barman, y'all don't sell cigarettes anymore?
The new tobacco law says we can't have cigarettes on public display and we can't advertise that we sell it.
Okay, give my part.
You can't do that in here, buddy. The law states that you can't smoke in an enclosed area. You have to go outside.
I think that's how they do it in foreign. So, the law finally comes again. I'm glad though.
Let's all work together to prevent cigarette smoking related illnesses.